They called security on her before she even spoke. No warning, no raised voice, just a quiet woman standing in line, ticket in hand, silence in place, skin too brown for their expectations. 2 officers appeared like they'd been summoned for a threat, not a traveler. One on her left, one on her right. The gate agent didn't even pretend to scan her pass. "Ma'am, step aside." That was all. No explanation, no apology. Just command. Authority delivered in 4 syllables. She moved, not because she was afraid, but because she was calculating. Around her, no one questioned it. They watched her step out of line the same way you'd watch someone get their bag checked. Routine, assumed, forgettable. To them, she didn't belong in seat 1A. Not with her quiet. Not with her hoodie. Not with her face. But here's what they didn't know. Not the gate agent. Not the passengers glancing sideways. And certainly not the man who walked through behind her without ever showing his ID. The woman they just pulled aside didn't just buy a first-class ticket. She bought something else. Something they couldn't see. Something they'd never expect. And when you find out what it was, you'll understand why no one on that flight ever forgot her name. This isn't just a story about race. It's a story about recognition. About the moment power looks like nothing you imagined and everything you feared. So ask yourself, what happens when the woman you tried to silence turns out to control the microphone? Her name was Autumn Riley. She didn't yell. She didn't argue. She just handed over her boarding pass, let them make their notes. Let the eyes follow her like she was a disruption instead of a presence. What she held in her canvas tote was not luggage. It was leverage. And when that plane took off without apology, they didn't realize they were carrying a fuse already lit. She took her seat in row 2A. Window view. Tote beneath her feet. Envelope across her lap like a signature waiting to be claimed. She didn't look rich. She didn't look powerful. But the documents in that envelope held authorization codes that triggered financial protocols. Across 3 banks and 1 global trust. And in exactly 4 hours, the airline she just boarded would find itself under review. Its merger frozen. Its staff reassigned. And its silence audited. Because Autumn Riley didn't just buy a seat. She came to test the system that thought it owned her sky. The terminal still buzzed with routine. Overhead calls, wheeled luggage, the soft beep of scanned tickets. But in Autumn's row, the air was different. Charged, brittle, deliberate. The flight attendant paused when she reached her seat. Her smile was stretched, not offered. Her tone was pleasant, not warm. "Good morning," she said. Autumn responded with a nod. Nothing more. The attendant moved on, but not without glancing at the manifest one more time, her brows tightening as if the data didn't match the woman in front of her. Autumn didn't flinch. She didn't fidget. She rested her hands lightly on the envelope and waited. Minutes later, another crew member approached. Clipboard in hand. Supervisor badge. No eye contact. "Ma'am, we're verifying a seating discrepancy," he said. Autumn unlocked her phone, displayed the boarding pass, held it without a word. The supervisor murmured. "Must have been a systems sync error. I'll make a note." No apology. Just code words wrapped in neutrality. She was being flagged, and they didn't even have the courage to own it. The flight continued its boarding. Polished passengers with designer bags and high-limit cards. A mother with a child. A man with a leather briefcase. Autumn watched them all pass without pause, without scrutiny. When service began, she noticed the pattern. First row received warm towels. Third row too. Second row, hers, was skipped. Not once. Twice. The attendant passed her like she wasn't there. She didn't protest. She catalogued. When drinks were offered, the young attendant asked softly, "What would you like, ma'am?" "Just water." A pause, then a whisper to the lead. Then the lead returned with a practiced smile. Unfortunately, your ticket doesn't include beverage service in this class. Autumn raised one brow. Even for first? A hesitation. A check of the manifest. Then a short nod. I'll confirm with the cabin manager. She didn't look again. The man beside her glanced over. I thought drinks were included in first class, he said to no one in particular. Autumn didn't answer. She didn't need to. The silence had already answered for her. Service rolled on. Meals plated with cloth napkins and silver cutlery. Passengers asked for refills, granted them instantly. Conversations bloomed around her, comfort oozing like warm air. And Autumn sat still. Not invisible. Just ignored. She touched the envelope once. Gently. Not to move it. To remind herself it was still there. Because in this cabin, power didn't shout. It waited. And hers was just beginning to rise. The turbulence never came from the sky. It came from the space between seats, between names, between perceptions. Autumn didn't need the wind to rattle her. The service script had already been rewritten around her, edited line by line into exclusion. When the cart came to her row again, it wasn't food that was offered, it was absence. No menu, no question. The attendant stopped for her seatmate, delivered the options with a polite smile, wrote his order carefully, then turned without a glance in Autumn's direction. 3 rows served before she cleared her throat. Was I skipped for meal service? Her voice didn't rise. It didn't have to. The attendant turned. Confused. Then cautious. Oh, I wasn't sure you were eligible. The pause after the words held more than hesitation. It held judgment. The kind that comes not from rules but from roles. Roles assumed, roles enforced. Autumn tilted her head slightly. I'm into it. The attendant blinked, then turned back to the manifest, flipping pages like it might tell a different story now. Right. Would you like the herb roasted chicken or the miso glazed cod? Cod. Coming right up. But when the tray arrived, the cod was barely warm. The rice sticky in a way that wasn't culinary. It was careless. The vegetables limp. The presentation rushed. She didn't touch it. She didn't complain. She simply closed the lid, slid the tray forward, and returned her attention to the envelope. Across the aisle, a passenger snapped his fingers for a refill. The steward appeared instantly, smiling, service flowing like instinct. Autumn measured it. Not because she wanted it, but because every action had weight. At 33, she had learned not to expect comfort. She had stopped wanting validation. She was here to observe the system stripped of pretense, to see what hospitality looked like when it thought no one was watching who could make it matter. And that's when the cabin shifted again. A man from row 5, khaki pants, expensive headphones, walked down the aisle, paused beside her row, and leaned on her seat like it belonged to him. She's in first, he asked, loud enough for rows around them to hear. He didn't look at her. The flight attendant laughed. Soft, sharp, cruel. She's on the list. Must be a points redemption or something. The man chuckled, slapped the seat, and walked away. Autumn didn't move, didn't breathe heavier, but her fingers curled slightly tighter around the envelope's edge. Because if she had spoken right then, it might not have come out calm. And she still needed calm for what came next. Later, when the tray was being cleared, a younger attendant reached for her untouched plate and hesitated. Didn't like the fish, he asked, almost sheepish. Autumn looked up, polite but unreadable. It was cold. He nodded, muttered something close to, sorry, and rolled the cart away. She watched him whisper to the lead attendant, Sloane, the one who hadn't smiled since the start of the flight. Sloane's eyes snapped toward row 2, a look not of guilt but of irritation. Autumn catalogued that too. The captain's voice broke through the cabin, announcing the descent. Seatbelts clicked. Windows dimmed. Routine movements everywhere. But not for Autumn. Sloane passed one final time, pausing by her seat. All personal items must be stored overhead during landing, she said. Flat, distant. Autumn didn't blink. I've flown before. Sloane said nothing. Walked on. The seatbelt light chimed again. Autumn's hand moved toward the envelope, resting there like a fingerprint on glass. The wheels touched down without a jolt. The plane taxied smoothly toward gate 32. Passengers stretched, shifted, reached for bags and perfume sacks and carry-ons. Autumn remained seated. She didn't move until the aisle had cleared. Then slowly, deliberately, she lifted the envelope into her lap. The seal unbroken. The wax insignia catching light like a quiet threat. Ahead, Sloane was watching. This time without pretending not to. Autumn stood. She stepped into the jet bridge with the calm of someone who didn't chase exits. The cool air hit like a cue. Halfway down, a man in uniform stepped into her path. Clipboard. Earpiece. Miss Riley. Yes. He gave a polite nod. We've had a request to verify your final destination before releasing your luggage. Just a routine update. Her lips twitched, not into a smile, but into something sharper. You need to verify where I'm going? Yes, ma'am. There was a reclassification in your reservation. A flag status code, 19B. Internal override required. Who filed that code? The man hesitated. It doesn't say. Might have been auto-generated. It wasn't, she said, her voice sharpening like the edge of a sealed envelope. Take me to whoever's handling this. He shifted, uncomfortable now, then gestured toward a hallway off the main concourse. This way, ma'am. She followed. Not because she trusted him, but because she wanted them all to see what happened when the system they used to control, had to answer to her instead. The uniformed man led Autumn through a series of sterile corridors, his footsteps echoing against linoleum floors. Security cameras blinked red in the corners. At the third turn, he stopped at an unmarked door. Wait here, he said, knocking twice before stepping aside. The room was smaller than she expected. A metal table, 2 chairs, a one-way mirror, and seated across from her, a woman in a navy blazer with an airline insignia pin. Ms. Riley, the woman said, not looking up from her tablet. I'm Director Cole. Corporate Oversight. Autumn placed the envelope on the table between them. The wax seal cracked audibly. I assume you know why I'm here. Cole finally met her gaze. We received an irregularity alert. Your ticket was flagged at 3 checkpoints. By who? Automated systems. Cole's thumb twitched against the tablet. You understand. Certain profiles trigger additional scrutiny. Autumn smiled. The kind that didn't reach her eyes. She slid a single sheet from the envelope. Flight 227. November 12th. Gate agent bypassed scan protocol. 2 unauthorized personnel approached me without cause. She placed another page beside it. Service denial in first class. 3 documented microaggressions from crew. And this, a third sheet. This time with a bank logo. Your merger's financing conduit. Frozen as of 20 minutes ago. Cole's breath hitched. That's impossible. Try accessing your offshore liquidity pools. Autumn leaned forward. Then tell me what's impossible. A phone rang. Cole answered, listened, then paled. You, she swallowed. What do you want? 3 things. Autumn counted them off. 1. The gate agent fired. 2. Mandatory bias training for today's crew. 3. She tapped the bank document. A public audit of your passenger screening algorithms. Cole's jaw tightened. We can't. The system already chose, Autumn said, standing. Now you choose, fix it, or explain to shareholders why your planes are grounded tomorrow. Silence. Then Cole reached for her phone. Outside, Autumn walked past staring staff, past the still frozen gate displays, toward the exit. Her phone buzzed. A transfer notification. The first of many. She didn't look back. Some battles weren't fought with shouts. They were won the moment the other side realized the quiet woman held all the leverage. And Autumn? She'd only just begun. The airport's glass doors slid open as Autumn stepped into the evening air. The city pulsed ahead. Lights, traffic, the hum of a world unaware of the quiet storm she'd just unleashed. Her phone buzzed again. Not a bank notification this time. A name, Sloan, M. Flight attendant, asterisk, followed by a single line. Termination effective immediately. A car pulled to the curb, black, unmarked. The window rolled down. Need a ride? The driver wore a smirk. Federal badge clipped to his visor. Autumn slid into the back seat. You're late, had to clean up your mess. He tossed a folder onto her lap. Inside, flight logs, crew manifests, and a sticky note with 3 words, they'll comply, asterisk asterisk. The car merged into traffic. Autumn watched the airport shrink in the rearview. Somewhere behind her, an airline was scrambling. A system was recalibrating. And every passenger on Flight 227 would receive an email by dawn. Asterisk, dear valued guest. We regret to inform you your recent flight did not meet our standards. The driver glanced at her. Where to next? Autumn traced the edge of the folder. Smiled. Somewhere with a first-class lounge. Because power wasn't just about winning. It was about making sure they remembered why they lost. The uniformed man led Autumn through sterile corridors to an unmarked room. Inside, Director Cole of Airline Corporate Oversight waited, fingers tapping her tablet. Autumn placed the envelope on the table. The wax seal cracked like a gunshot in the quiet room. Flight 227, Autumn began. Gate agent bypassed scan protocol. 2 unauthorized personnel approached me. First-class service denied. 3 documented microaggressions. She slid another page forward. And your merger's financing conduit, frozen 20 minutes ago. Cole's phone rang. She listened, then paled. What do you want? 3 things. The gate agent fired. Mandatory bias training for today's crew. And, Autumn tapped the document, a public audit of your passenger screening algorithms. When Cole hesitated, Autumn stood. The system already chose. Now you choose, fix it, or explain to shareholders why your planes are grounded tomorrow. Outside the airport, Autumn's phone buzzed with transfer notifications and one final message. Sloan, M. Flight attendant, termination effective immediately. Asterisk. A black car pulled up, federal badge on the visor. Where to next? The driver asked. Autumn smiled. Somewhere with a first-class lounge. As they drove away, Flight 227's passengers received emails. We regret your experience did not meet our standards. The quiet woman with the envelope. She wasn't just a passenger. She was the audit. The uniformed man led Autumn to a windowless room where Director Cole waited, her airline insignia pin gleaming under fluorescent lights. Autumn placed the envelope on the table. The wax seal cracked like a verdict. 3 violations, Autumn said, sliding documents across the table. Unauthorized detainment. Discriminatory service. And this, a page with a bank logo. Your merger's liquidity pool. Frozen. Cole's phone rang. When she hung up, her knuckles were white. What do you want? 3 changes. The gate agent terminated. Your crew retrained. And, Autumn tapped the bank document, a public audit of your profiling algorithms. When Cole hesitated, Autumn stood. Your system flagged the wrong passenger today. Outside, Autumn's phone buzzed, First with a 7-figure transfer notification, then with a personnel update. Sloan, M terminated, asterisk. A black sedan pulled up. The federal agent driving smirked. Heard you grounded an airline before breakfast. Autumn checked her watch. Their audit starts at noon. As they drove away, every passenger from Flight 227 received an email with a compensation voucher and one telling line, asterisk, we apologize for any discomfort caused by crew interactions. The woman they'd tried to silence. She wasn't just auditing their systems. She was rewriting their rules.